See, the president pledged, in fact, he's put his presidency on the line to fight illegal mining after he was sworn in.
Yeah.
Has this fight been won?
No, it hasn't.
Should he still be president?
Indeed, if we were in some other jurisdiction, he would have resigned by now. By his word, he put his presidency on the line. Because now his own people have been found to be the ones engaged. All their party executives have, concessions and are doing illegal mining in forest reserves. It's a pity.
Abusiamene mukasa idea John Mahama ababo ntina be interview. Na during the interview no wa kansen bi wo ma wo kire mu say nka some serious country pan nka ye wom pan nka wo say Nana Donko Kufuado resign because we fairly Ghanaians big time we failure as far as the presidency in this country is concerned. We in some John Dramani Mahama eba wantini ebe kind na nsembe ene kofa we nyina ba ye jiwa kunwa na tena senya abotre na mencheche nsem no mu emfa nchem asi malikbasintale TV so when first number channel so bombo ni subscribe efema ye John Dramani Mahama ko ye interview with I think one of TV3 omo presenters baako ema ebe to mu say galamse a Nana Donko Kufuado eka say obe fight against se na ebe ya Ghana ebe fa ntuma pa efra ye be reserve your forest in sase ye be reserve in sase chese ebe bossa ni mo we nyina ho ba yensuo kura na ebe ho ban no Nana Donko Kufuado afeli we nyina o kan but wa feli wantimi anye we nyina nsem ban na John Dramani Mahama ewo eka de fa sansem we nyina ho na John Dramani Mahama ekan ewo interview no mu sem ono anka so ni hwe ni o mana ekoso ewo Ghana na wono nim say chairman we anase Nana Donko Kufuado afeli Ghanaians big time nioma ono ankasa ka so obeye no wantimi anye akire ne kohunu say ono ankasa ne party executives ono ankasa ne party members say omo hodi party ni app no bebrina e de omo for mining insensemu illegal mining galamsey asem na meken enti nioma we nyina akoso be bia dance say Nana Donko Kufuado afeli on mine big time just we failure to Ghana nke serious country bia nke nyaade a nka Nana Donko Kufuado obe continue abu oman was resign as soon as possible when some John Dramani Mahama eba bontene ebe kan abusunya we don't waste my time no yenti ensem no comment section also you drop your comment ni hu wadwen kire I say malikbasintale TV so we no first time channel so bombo dey subscribe FM.
Few days ago we got the news of the return of Aisha Wan, and I know that this is something that you were very concerned about as president, illegal mining. And how did this news of her return, in fact, the Immigration Service says they are still trying to gather data as to how she got in. They earlier said it was through illegal means. Government officials say through legal means with forged documents. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think that it's being investigated and it must be investigated because it borders on security. If it's easy for any foreigner to just penetrate, our territorial integrity like this, without check, then we do have a problem. Over the years, money has been spent to digitalize, the immigration services. We also have the Ghana card, digital and all that. And so if these systems were not able to pick a person like this up, then it means that there was a terrible failure on the day. And I even hear that she came to attention only because she had a quarrel with her landlord, and not because anybody really was onto her and caught her, because she had a problem with her landlord, and then that's escalated and caused, what happened to happen. So it is a problem, mainly because she was deported. Normally, when you're deported from a country, you cannot come back in, and sometimes it's for some years. You cannot even apply for a visa to come back for, say, 10 years or so, So how she was able to come through wherever she came and come in, change her identity, make a new Ghana card and all that, those are all things that need to be investigated. But I do think that anybody who's engaged in illegality must be sanctioned. I mean, Ghanaians who are engaged in illegal mining are languishing in prisons. They've been sentenced and jailed. And so Ghanaians felt cheated when she was, accused of illegal mining. And instead of prosecuting her, she was made to go scot-free. You remember what happened with Osafumafo's statement that they did not want to risk the relationship between Ghana and China, and that's why they let her go, But of course, all of us, when I was president, we value the relations with China. But if you're Ghanaian and you go to China and you're engaged in illegality, they don't say because of the good relations they have with Ghana, they're going to let you go scot-free. You face the full rigors of the law in China. And I don't doubt that there are some of our citizens in jail in China. When I became president, I was faced with this same illegal gold mining. I deported almost 5,000 illegal Chinese miners. I didn't say because of the good relations we have with China, we should allow them to continue to engage in this illicit activity. And we collaborated with the Chinese embassy. They got 747s and came and took their nationals away. It didn't destroy our relationship. No, it didn't destroy our relationship.
I see. The president pledged, in fact, he's put his presidency on the line to fight illegal mining after he was sworn in.
Yeah.
Has this fight been won?
No, it hasn't.
Should he still be president?
Indeed, if we were in some other jurisdiction, he would have resigned by now. By his word, he put his presidency on the line. Because now his own people have been found to be the ones engaged. All their party executives have, concessions and are doing illegal mining in forest reserves. It's a pity. But it's close to home, and that's why he can't deal with it. If you go to the districts, they talk about community mining. Community mining is the MPP party executives and the DCAs who are doing the community mining. And so they are the ones doing what they're doing. And so how can you expect him to fight, Galamsey, when his own people are involved in it?
Yeah, the president lacks the political will to do this?
He does. It makes very nice, verbiage when you talk about it and you express a will to do something well. Action speaks louder than words. Our river bodies are still the coffee color that they were. Maybe they were Milo before. They are looking like coffee now, getting darker. And they all know who are doing it. The champagne machines are there. It's not something that you can put in a handbag and walk and go and do it here. They put it there. And so how come you can't find the champagne machines, that are washing all that mud into the river bodies? So I think he's failed when it comes to illegal gold mining.
The last time we had close to 838 champagnes found on the River Offing alone.
Yeah. It's on Ankobra, it's on Offin, it's on Birim. Just name any of the major water bodies. Mm-hmm. You have them there. But even the worst one is the forest reserves, because these river bodies take their catchment areas from the forest. And so now, even those washing into the river bodies are not destroying the rivers as badly as those who are going into the forest reserves, cutting down the trees and doing the mining in the reserves. That is going to create a situation where those rivers are going to dry up in future. And unfortunately, when our friend Sir John was there, it is known that he gave several concessions in permits in forest reserves. And he himself was a shareholder in 2 companies that were mining in forest reserves, and awarded, presented pickup to the Forestry Commission to protect his own company, giving the impression that the company had presented a pickup for the forestry to do their work, vigilante work. But unfortunately, it was rather his own company donating to his own institution,
The IMF boss spoke, in fact, tweeted recently, and that the current economic challenges that the country is facing were not internally generated, but were as a result of external factors. And you took issue with that.
Yeah.
Why exactly?
Because we all know that's not true. You and I live here, we know it's not true. We know that the current mess we are in was not caused only by external factors. A large part of the causative factors for the situation we are in are policies, bad policies. And I'll just give you a few examples. One, let's take the banking sector clean out. I mean, the banking sector clean out was so ill-advised.
It was ill-advised.
Very ill-advised.
But
these were indigenous banks operating in the risky end of the market. More than 80% of small and medium enterprise loans were being given out by these indigenous banks that were closed. Most of the Class A banks, lend big to governments and institutions like Unilever and so on and so forth. They are very reluctant to take on the small and medium enterprises because that's the risky end of the market. So naturally, the banks that will face liquidity challenges because of bad debt and a doubtful debt are these banks which were owned by Ghanaians. And so you came into office and you said they should increase their capital reserve from 80 million to 400 million, and that if they don't do it by a certain date, you shut them down. Many of them struggled to be able to get it. Some were able to prove to you that they had gotten it. Despite all that, you just decided that, look, we're closing all of them down. Now, if even you wanted them to put up 400 million capital reserve, let's assume there were even 10 of them, and you said 400 times 10, that's 4 billion cedis. And so if the Bank of Ghana had said, okay, look, I'm going to give you 4 billion cedis, all you these 10 banks, let's assume there were 10 banks, and I'm going to take 50% equity in your banks, and we're going to embed people in to make sure that you follow the right practices, to supervise, to make sure that you utilize this money properly, so that when you pay back, we will reverse your equity to you. The Central Bank of England did that with Royal Bank of Scotland, RBS, during the financial crisis, if you remember. Today, RBS has paid back the money that was given to them by the Central Bank, and RBS is making profit and is back to winning ways. Why couldn't we have done that with our banks? And yet you said, look, we'll guarantee all depositors' accounts, but we're shutting you down. And so you do an audit of depositors' accounts, and you need more than 20 billion to be able to pay depositors. It doesn't make any, rational sense. So all of a sudden, you lump in one fell swoop on the public debt more than 20 billion cedis. How much have they been able to recover?